It doesn't mean now, if you're still harvesting and holding on what I did, then you haven't forgiven. There's two things you got to deal with when it comes down to forgiveness. You want to deal with the feeling and the issues that cause that pain or that hurt. So when I'm dealing with forgiveness, I want to make sure that when I see you, I don't feel it. That's where forgiveness comes in. Now, us resuming the nature of a relationship or everything like that, that's predicated upon a person. A person don't have to do that. You understand? Yes. Say it again. Well, and that's the behavior. So if you're just speaking to me when you see me and don't nothing else, then you still got a problem. You still got a problem. It doesn't mean I have to be your best friend, but I still can communicate with you. We still can talk. We still can be in the same area. We can still hang out. But if we're together and whenever I see you, I said I forgave you, and I just speak to you and walk away, you haven't forgiven me. Because you still got something there. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. No. So what I'm saying is, and that's why I'm using the titles like best friend and stuff like that. Because I can still be your friend, and we don't have to be best friends, but I don't have nothing against you. You understand? That doesn't mean, just because we're not best friends again, doesn't mean that, because somebody else could have took that best friend spot. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't be friends. We can't communicate. But if there's hostility or thoughts, or you getting anxiety and feeling all this stuff every time I come around you or talk to you, then something is still there. You're still holding on to something. And sometimes we're holding on to the thought that occurred. You follow what I'm saying? Sometimes we ain't even holding on to the pain anymore. Sometimes, when it comes down to forgiveness, you got to let not only the pain go, but you got to let the thought of what happened go. And sometimes we don't release the thought. So now every time I see you, I think about what you did. My mind goes straight back. It don't focus on the hurt. It don't focus on the pain. It goes the thought of this, that thought. You understand what I'm saying? So when it comes down to forgiveness, that's what we need to focus on. We got to focus on the aftermath and the behavior of. And it deals with your maturity level. Everyone. The way you deal with people after somebody's done something to you shows how mature you are. You follow what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, when it comes down to forgiveness or us forgiving and different things like that, we'll say it with our mouth, but we don't mean it because the actions don't follow it. Y'all follow me? All right, give me John. What I got you? Yeah, you wanted to say something? Somebody go, yes. All right, y'all get some microphones. Microphones work tonight?
I was going to say, I'm kind of struggling with what you said, because I feel like if you forgave me, and then I'm no longer your friend.
No. I didn't say no longer your friend. Right.
I feel like you didn't forgive me, because I don't know how if something happens in a friendship, I feel like you should be able to get over it and move past it. You don't forgive each other like that.
Right. Yeah. So moving past, all right. So a person moving past a person and whatever the issue that occurs. So say for instance, we have a huge fault. Me and you, we're best friends. You stole all my money and blew my house up. All of this stuff happened. If I can go and still communicate with you without any hard feelings or any animosity, that's forgiveness. I don't have to put a title on your name to say that I forgive you. You understand what I'm saying? That's not necessarily true. So when it comes down to forgiveness, it deals with what you're holding on. And if I have to say, okay, well, or if we're not best friends anymore, then you haven't forgiven me. We still hang out the same, we do a lot of the same things, but I just don't say that's my best friend. Yes, sir. So what I'm getting at is that the label, me telling you that you're my best friend and whatever happened, and then we're not friends for 6 months because we have all this issue. And then I finally come talk to you. We're pulling out a best friend. If we're in a relationship, you know, female and male in a relationship, and you've done whatever the case may be, you don't have to be my girlfriend or my boyfriend or, you know, we're back as fiancés because I forgave you. It's the same exact concept. It's the same concept. It's no different because of it's by the way I'm treating you. It's not based upon what I'm labeling you as. If I still can come in the room, you don't make me feel no type of way, I don't make you feel no type of way, we can communicate, we can go on by our day, we can do all the different things. Forgiveness have been there. It doesn't mean that, oh, you got to be my girl again, or you got to be my boyfriend again, because, yeah, go. Well, see, and then if somebody's doing that, then there's something there. That's what I'm talking about. It's predicated upon the behavior that a person has. Once everything is, you know, as they say, once the dust is settled, how are you behaving afterwards? So now, if there's different treatment, I'm still holding on. Me saying that you're my best friend again, that doesn't mean anything. Because I can say that you're my best friend and still treat you different.
I guess it's dealing more with how close you are to your best friend and what is that best friend. What does being a best friend mean? Does it mean like, I need this to happen and I'm willing to put myself out there to be wrong with you again as a best friend? Mm-hmm. Or, you know, I care about this and I want to like make things work because you are my best friend. You know, what happen. And I guess that line of trying and that line of, you know, effort different from person to person. So I guess that's, I mean, I just, you know, took a lot of things that people hear like, oh, I ain't gonna be best friend, like, you know, just
right. Right, but if that's the theory or thought process, it hasn't been forgiven. Yes, sir. Could you look at it as far as, like, after you come into a situation with somebody and you can forgive them, and it's not that you're holding anything towards them, but you can see that as my expectations from them has changed. So now, for example, like Mike being my best friend, I have a certain level of expectations from him as my best friend, and where if I leave some money around, I wouldn't expect him to steal it. Right. Versus, you know, now, you know, let's say, you know, somebody does do that, and now my expectations from you has changed because of what you've done. So it's not that I don't, you know, I have any ill feelings towards you, but now because of what you've done, now my expectations have changed and what I think you would do. Because you didn't be the same way in that perspective. Yeah, I follow what you're saying. I think that, you know, now when you talk about expectation, that's still kind of deal with a theory or thought of something that occurred prior to. So if my expectation changed off your behavior and I'm treating you different based upon what you've done, then it's almost as if I still got something there. You understand? Yes. Huh. Right. Like if I, for example, when I say expectation, I mean like if I know somebody will steal. Right. You know, leave $1,000 inside. I know my expectations from you will change because of what you've done. So it's not that I'm treating you different. I just know you might steal my money from I'm leaving it open. Well, I think that if I'm holding on to something that you've done, then see when you hear forgive, I'm releasing something. So if I'm still holding on to it, then I haven't given it up. I haven't released the thought of what you've done, if that makes sense. And look, now when it comes down to being wise and stuff like that, I understand that concept. But if you know, I'm like, what's the name of the thief? Man, probably my brother around him. Or you know, so now you follow what I'm saying? Yeah, I see it from that perspective. Yeah. So. Right. And I understand what you're saying as far as the expectation. But even with expectation, of course, that comes with a theory of thought in mind to it where, okay, now, and I get what you're saying as far as expectation of a best friend versus a friend. I understand that, and I agree with that. But when I'm dealing with it from a aspect of the thought in mind of, okay, I can't trust him to do that, or I wouldn't trust her to do that because of what she's done. So now I'm changing the theory to, about trust and broken relationships and things like that. If I was saying, yes.
Like using wisdom, it's like I don't have to necessarily treat you different, but at the same time, I don't necessarily have to give you the same access as I did either. So it's like you don't have the same, but no, like so because I don't tell you all my secrets anymore, doesn't mean I treat you different. I'll treat you the same. I just won't come to you as far as like with certain things, but I don't treat you any different. It's just I'm not sharing as much information with you. How is that treated different though?
Well, you treat the person different. So if you say that I was giving you all of my secrets, but because you leaked my secrets, I'm not giving you my secrets anymore. That's a change in behavior.
Okay, like
now,
I guess he would say, like, so if your uncle stole your money, like, I just know that I'm not gonna leave my money around you. I love you. I treat you the same, but like, is that just wisdom to say, I forgive you, but I'm wise enough to know that you're not capable of not putting my money in your pocket. Like, I mean.
Well, so yes.
At what point is
wisdom when not forgiven? Yeah. So.
Is when you see compulsive behavior. At what point? Because I would say you have 70 times 7, so I got to keep forgiving.
Right. That's where I was about to go. Yeah. So. Right. So I mean, when it comes down to being wise and putting yourself in certain certain situations, get Matthew 18 and 22. Yes, Bobby.
I think it comes with also knowing the individual. Like, I think sometimes we are so quick to cut someone off when they do something. I guess I have expectation, but I've learned that if I'm friends with someone, I really am friends with this individual. I know their characteristics of their heart, what their intentions are, and like who they are. And if they hurt me in a way that I didn't think they would hurt me, I think back on like, okay, well this person is like this.
Cutting somebody off, that means you.
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, I thought you said when you cut somebody off. Say it again.
Yes, sir. I would say that.
That was the beginning statement if I cut somebody off.
No, I said sometimes people are so quick to cut people off.
Right, yeah. If they cutting them off, then that's not forgiving the people.
But I was saying that
all right, I'll come back to you. Somebody have a hand up back there? It is. Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Huh? Yeah, that's what I just said. Oh, you talking about them? Okay. You say you don't get it? What you don't think? You don't think of? Okay, so you said a best friend. So you have a best friend and you have a boyfriend girlfriend. That's what you use that just for the sake of term. All right. Got the best friend and all right, best friend and boyfriend. So these are both titles, right? Okay. So what you believe that the friend they shouldn't resume as boyfriend girlfriend, but a best friend can resume, right? Okay. All right. So why is that? Well, I get what you're saying, but when you look at so for a best friend, or we say a boyfriend, girlfriend thing. So you said, eternity together, right? Not really, but, So, potential eternity together, time spent, right? What else? What else is, people that are about to get married to? Eternity together, time, what else? What are some things? Like if you're the boyfriend, girlfriend, you hang out, that's time. What else? Huh? Conversation? All right, what else? Time. What else? All right. Best friends, what do they do? Huh? Time?
I feel like, I think you're looking for something different in your life, not in terms of like what you're doing, but in terms of I think it's forgiveness.
Listen, let me finish it. All right, what are some other things for a best friend? Support. Okay, what else? Interest. What do you mean? What do you mean by interest? Oh, okay. Commonality. Okay. All right, what else? All right. So okay. All right. So we almost got the same thing, and I follow what you're saying. You're saying that this is a potential life thing. How many best friends are limited? Anybody best friends are limited? Huh? How many of y'all got, okay. How many of y'all got best friends? All right. How long you and your best friend should be best friends for? Forever? No, I'm saying, no, not how long have you. No, not how long have you. How long do you foresee this? Huh? Till you die. All right? Anybody else got best friend? No, we're not saying that's not the grounds. Well, there's going to be something extreme to want to. Either way, and both is extreme things. Everybody has their own thought. Everybody does. We all think differently, but what I'm trying to say is that either way, you want to spend whatever with somebody's potential, a life partner. Same thing with a best friend. You're going to want to spend that longevity. You're not saying you have limits with your best friend, right? Huh? Limits as far as what? Right. So yeah, we're not talking about marriage. We're talking about the friendship level of. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, both of these titles are almost identical because they're both dealing with a relationship as a friend, and both are almost like lifetime. Anybody agree? Now, I get what you're saying. They don't have the same. The nature is not the same. But if this breaks off, or if this breaks off, the forgiveness would have to be the same. So if I forgive my best friend and say that, hey, we'll just, we can be friends. I don't have no issues with you. We ain't got no whatever. And then if you break up with this person, you say, hey, we can just be friends. There ain't no issues or whatever. It's almost. If it's okay, all right. So let me put it in a different perspective. So, and I don't want to go too far, like this is my podcast, but if okay, what is something that you'll stop being a best friend with somebody for? Yes. Do you have a best friend? Okay. What is something that your best friend would have to do to be like, I cannot be his best friend no more, or this can't be, we this separate our friendship? Anybody will give us example? Yes. Huh? Back up. That's what I was going to say, but I'll let one of y'all say. All right. So if that was the scenario, you're going to say, okay, I forgive you. we can be best friends again after you backdoored me? Okay, so now, so you say, now, and that's why I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, I think we're going a little too far left. What I am saying is that you do not have to resume the same nature of friendship to display forgiveness. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, even if, this person backdoored you, y'all start a friendship again and then y'all become best friends again. I'm not saying that's not possible. What I am saying is that if you do that to me and I say, hey man, hey, we ain't got no problem, you know what I'm saying, we friends, we good, we can hang out, we still can be friends. That does not mean that I did not forgive you if I don't say you're best friend again tomorrow. Because if I say that tomorrow and I still got a little residue or whatever in my heart, either way, I'm still failing that forgiving. Right, you understand? So you're saying that, all right, so you're saying that if a person, see, forgiveness, what I'm trying to tell you, forgiveness deals with the behavior. It doesn't deal with the titles. It deals with the behavior. Well, yes, sir. Right. Right. No, I understand the correlation. I understand the correlation. Yeah, but what? Right. Right. No. Well, we're not going to say go from this like person, same person. So if whatever happens, because only way that a person can reconcile or forgive, something has to be broken. So if that something breaks or something actually happens, you're going to be pushed back. I don't care who you are. If there's something going to be there based upon your maturity, then you could be able to forgive and move forward. But there's going to be a space. After that space, and you say, hey, this is my best friend again, that does not mean that you forgave. This is the point that I'm trying to make. I know that I think everything kind of went left and all over the place. That's not what I'm not. What I'm saying is that if I do not call you best friend tomorrow after you done backdoored me, that doesn't mean that I have not forgiven you. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you're saying that I have to call you or I have to call you best friend to say that I forgive you, that's not every case. And I'm not saying that a person can't resume as a best friend, but what I am saying is that if I don't call you best friend, does not mean that I do not forgive you. That's what I mean. Yes. The behavior, right? I get you. Yes, sir. You ain't forgive him. You ain't forgive him. If you say that you forgave somebody and you can't be around them, you haven't forgiven them. If that thing is in your mind about what they've done to you, you haven't forgiven them. Yes.
Your behavior has changed in my future, but I have forgiven you. That's not to say I have forgiven you. It's just
right.
So how is that not?
Well, here's the thing. Let me share something with you now, with everybody. If there's ever a broken fellowship or relationship with a person for a period of time, throughout that time of your healing, you're picking up other habits. If you don't talk to somebody for a year straight because of what they've done, when you start communicating with them again, it's not going to go back to the exact same because you've been used to doing something different for the past 12 months. So now me saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna start calling you again. We should start doing this again, and we're gonna start. You might call them first few days, but after a while, because of your routine, it's not gonna be the same. But that doesn't mean that I haven't forgiven you.
No, I understand. So it's okay to be different. It's just the reason why things are being different. It's like it's okay to treat someone different. It's just the reason. Like for example, if I treat Frank different because I have animosity toward him, that's bad.
Right.
If I treat Frank different because I have just grown apart over time, that's okay.
That's fine. Because it's not. It's because it's not unforgivable.
No, I mean,
What I'm trying to get y'all to see. Y'all probably stress me out. What I'm trying to get y'all to see is that no, what you're saying is right. No, what you said is right. What you're saying is right. So it deals with the way you treat somebody, and what you just said is correct. So if you guys grow over time apart and y'all not hanging out on the phone all the time, that does not mean that I did not forgive him. And that's what I was trying to get y'all to see this past 30 minutes. Well, no, yeah, so, and that's why when he said, if I treat somebody and this in my mind, all this stuff about what he did, and you haven't forgiven me. Yeah, yes, ma'am. Cause the term, yeah, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So the unforgiveness could separate people, and separation over time, you start to build, your own whatever you got going on. So now, if I was talking to Frank every single day of the week, and then something happens or he fades away or whatever like that, and then 6 months later we trying to pick up where we left off at, it's going to be difficult because he's started his own routine of me being absent, and I started my own routine of him being absent. So it'll be difficult to, because it's going to slip my mind. Oh man, I forgot to. In fact, my one of my cousins came, and we grew up, we were real tight. Cousins came up here, and we was talking, and we was trying to keeping up with each other every day. But then after a few days, or maybe 4 or 5 days, it started fading away. And he called me today. He FaceTimed me. I was at the court with my son and my daughter, and he FaceTimed me. And I was like, dang, I meant to call him, but because my own routine every day, it prevent, the changes. But it does not mean that if we fell out, that doesn't mean that I haven't forgiven him. My behavior changes based upon my routine and my lifestyle. Everybody understand that? All right. Yes, somebody else had their hand up. Everybody good? Everybody understand? What you got? Well, he actually did. So he was married to Israel and then died, and now he's not even married to the church yet. We're considered a bride. So, Well, no, what I'm talking about is, even with, okay, give me John 10 or 9 and 30. Because we can fall out of fellowship with God, and, he can pull back from us and not listen to us. He can ignore us. All right, read,
The man answered and said unto him,
what is it? 7:30? Okay, 31, I'm sorry.
Now we know that God heareth not sinners.
So now, if I fall into a sinful state, God is ignoring me. So now, my title has changed. Huh? No, after he forgive you now, you do resume as a son or daughter, but, in that space of your title do change. You follow what I'm saying?
How is the treatment after forgiveness is taking place? And if you go to the Bible, it goes back to where it was before the court of God. It goes back to that original state that God, threw it out all, see if it's all that, and then we're presuming that you are, still my son, my daughter, and stuff like that. So, I mean, honestly, I understand, and I just feel like sometimes for certain people, it can be an enabler to hear stuff to hear it, and be like, bro, I'm good. But then I just feel like if we're truly forgiving, like doing a godly forgiveness to people, I mean, it wouldn't
missed the last part.
I feel like if you're talking about godly forgiveness.
Right. Right.
I feel like godly forgiveness.
I get you. And just forgiveness. I got you. Yeah. So again, when it comes down to forgiveness, and I get where David's going about, if God resumes, as everybody being, the creation or children, stuff like that. But when it comes down to forgiving, it all deals with the behavior once the person is forgiven. So if my behavior is changed, we're gonna throw the titles out the way because I think everybody's looking at the title indication in a different light. But if my behavior has changed towards you based upon what you've done, I haven't forgiven. Is that you confused about it? Yeah, I said I agree with the last part you said. If your treatment is not, if you're not holding animosity towards that individual. So if normally, if they're coming into church and you normally hold the door for them, but because they did whatever they did, you walk right in and don't hold the door. Okay, there's an issue. You follow what I'm saying? So if the behavior displays an issue, or if you have something inside of you internally that's displaying that you have a problem with this person, then you have not forgiven. You get what I'm saying? Right, okay. Okay, all right. Let me give you a different one. Okay. If I don't go to a fellowship because you're there, it's because I haven't forgiven. So that's broad enough. That's good. So if I don't fellowship with you because of something that you've done, I haven't forgiven. If I can attend that fellowship, still smile, and my spirits is up, I'm not down, I'm not looking at you funny, I'm sitting over here because you're over there, I'm back there because you're back there, then there's something in there, in the middle of there, that's causing or showing that I have not forgiven you. That's what I'm talking about. But if I can come and display a smile, I'm not bitter, I'm not thinking about what you've done, all different things like that, it's a forgiving matter. You understand? All right. 1 John chapter. Everybody understand that? No? Okay. 1 John chapter 1. All right. 1 and 6.
If we say we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not the truth. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another, and the blood of Jesus Christ, his Son, cleanses us from all sin. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins, and to cleanse us from all.
Start at 3.
That which we have seen and heard declare we unto you, that ye also may have fellowship with us. And truly our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son Jesus Christ. And these things write we unto you, that your joy may be full. This then is the message which we have heard of him, and declare unto you, that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all.
All right, God is light, no darkness in him.
If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not the truth. But if we walk in the light, as he is in the light, we have fellowship one with another. So now the light of us dealing with one another, it shows that we're in God and we're not walking in darkness. So walking in darkness means that I have an issue with you. And if I have an issue with you, I'm walking in darkness because we ain't talking about this. Now, let me be plain about this because I know some people don't go to churches because they think that the church is a perfect place and people don't have issues and ain't nobody supposed to have no problems in the church. That's a lie. I don't care what church you go to, it's going to have problems. The biggest ones, the largest ones got the biggest problems.
So it's like, I don't want to go to that church no more because there's got too much problem. There's too much mess. Too much this, too much that. That's everywhere. You got too much mess on your job, you still go. Too much mess in school, you still go. Too much mess everywhere. You know, people go everywhere and anywhere with mess at it. When you was partying and all that stuff, all the messy folk in that club, you still going. Every Friday night, going down there, everybody in the club, messy, they been talking about you, your mom, everybody else, and you still went to the club. And then you come to church. The people come to church because they need to be fixed. That's why messages like this is important, so you can learn how to be forgiving. Because it's, you know, when you, as a person, you come to church, that's why the Bible deals with babes in Christ. People come in like babes, you know, babes need to be trained up, be taught. And so dealing with forgiveness, this is something, see, we're takers, we'll take forgiveness, but we won't give it. We won't give forgiveness. And that's a strong rule that we must get as a church. And please know that there will be problems. If you haven't had a problem in church, just wait, it's coming one day. Just hang out a little longer. You're going to find out that problems do exist. And some people say, well, hey, we shouldn't have no problems in church. Man, it's the church. Man, why people not going there? It's the church. It's the church. Yeah. Church got people. And people going to act crazy. Yes. That's the next part of this. I don't like to call it a segment, but the next part of this lesson deals with putting yourself in another person's shoes. That's how you always look at forgiveness. You always look at it from what you've done, and have you done something like that, and what if you did do something like that? Would you like for forgiveness? And he says something. Most case scenario, people remove themselves from situations so that because somebody say, you know, I forgive you, and then move to a different state, and then they never see him again. And then when they see him, everything, they rush back. Everything, it just comes to mind quickly, because the way that you thought that you forgive was by traveling somewhere else or running and hiding somewhere, not knowing that, you know, that you're running and hiding, but you're running somewhere to get away from that person because you don't want to display forgiveness. See, forgiveness is a display, but then you have some people that they what she was saying is how you could force play forgiveness. And what that means is, I'm gonna do all this extra stuff. I'm buying you stuff, and I want to force myself, make myself do it. And I'm not really. It ain't really, because after I really hear something that triggers it, it's like, what? I really didn't forgive them for what I've done, for what they've done. What I did was try to shower them with stuff to manipulate my mind into believing something that is not really, for forgiveness. Yes. Yeah, and so that's another piece that I want to show y'all. Go to the book of Genesis. Genesis 41 and 51. Because you got two different things. You got something called suppressing, and you got something called forgetting. And when you suppress things, most case scenario, people suppress it, I suppressed a lot of things in my life as a young man. And then with the dangers of suppressing things is that stuff triggers. And so if I suppress it and then something happens, then it pops out, then I'm back in that little mold. But me forgetting is the thought of me, thinking about, or me forgiving to forget is me putting myself in that person's shoes. What if that was me? What if I made that? I'm not too good to have made the same mistake that you made. So when you start thinking about that, it's like, okay, all right, I gotta start easing myself out of this condition. But when you suppress it, it's easier to suppress it, but it's more dangerous. Because when you suppress that thing and then something come up, then you're a water bag. You tearing stuff up. You can't, all this stuff like that. But let me show you this, because some stuff you need God to help you forget. And this is where prayer comes in and people become spiritual. When you become spiritual, you allow things to let things roll off your back when you're more spiritual. You let things that people have said, things that people have done, you allow to roll off your back because you've matured. All right, read on.
And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said he had made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. So everybody remember the story of Joseph, right? Joseph went through a lot of stuff as a young man, and it wasn't even his fault. He went through that stuff because of his daddy. His daddy made him look like the best child and all that stuff like that. Had all the other sons mad at him and wanted to kill him because he was the favorite son. Amen. And so looking at that, you can only imagine all the stuff that he went through as a child. The Bible don't highlight everything, but it tells, remember, he had a dream. He had these dreams to tell his oh, I'm sorry, you got a question. You did that man up earlier? Okay. He had a dream that his brother's father and mother was going to serve him. And to tell that dream, and they already hated him because his father made him, seemed like the chosen child. After all that, you can only imagine what was going on in that house. I can only imagine them cooking food and all that stuff like that, and get down to Joseph, somebody put something in his food, somebody slapping his food to the floor, they pushing him around in the room, beating him. Bible don't talk about all the stuff, but they give you something. But I can only imagine, if somebody hates you, live in the same house as you, man, I'm sure they did all types of stuff to that boy in the house. That's why the Bible says, have made me forget what? All my toil and all my father's house. So it was all of the issues. It wasn't just them putting him in the ditch. It wasn't just that. Because we don't hear about all the other little stuff. I'm sure there was several things that could happen to Joseph while he was at his dad's house. Anybody got little brothers? Y'all got little brothers? You done did some stuff to your little brother, kicked him down the steps, pushed him, slapped him in the head, beat up on him, all that stuff like that. Right? We done that. So there are certain things you got to pray to ask God to allow you. God, I forgive them for doing that to me, but I need you to help me to forget it.
That's where God comes in at, because we can't forget everything, because the way our mind is set up, we like to store stuff in our mind. Store it there. Some of y'all got good memory when it comes down to what people did. But it's bad when it comes down to what you did. Just think about it. When most people are talking about, when most people talk about what a person has done, they can get everything to the T. And then you start talking about what they did, then they start, I don't remember that. And they really, literally have their brain farts because they can't really see what they've done. And that's the issue with people. People never can see themselves. Never, I can't see myself. I don't see myself doing this. I didn't see that. I don't know if I did that. But you remember the scenario to the T when it came down to the other person. To the T. And then when they start talking about your part, you don't want to hear about your part. Because you don't want that in your mind. The only thing you want in your mind is what they did. And that's something that we got to release. We got to get that off of us, because the church is hindered because there's so much stuff that we hold on about each other. Some of y'all got track records of stuff that y'all done. And listen, some of y'all done came and confessed to me and different things like that. And to be honest, half the time y'all come to me and say, Pastor, you remember when I said, I don't remember. I don't even remember. I'm not trying to keep dibs and dabs on what people have done. And sometimes and I don't understand why the mind of people's mind go like that or work like that. People's mind is always about what somebody else has done. Oh, he did that. Yep, I remember. I'm coming to yeah, he did that or she did that. I remember she did that. That's why I don't like her, because she did that. That's why we don't hang out no more, because she did that. Well, what did you do? Because before she did anything, you've done some stuff in your life. And that's where forgiveness always works. When you start looking at forgiveness, look at shoes, look at feet. Hey, put them shoes on. Because some people have done things that they was in a bad position. And they did it because they was in a bad position or bad position. Now, if you was in the same position, what you've done? Same thing. And nobody thinks about that. Just like that woman that man punched that lady and her son came and shot him. If that was it, all these people talking was saying all that mess. But if somebody punched my mama, listen, pastor or no pastor, I'm letting y'all know, y'all will have to come pick me up from a facility somewhere. I would not be able to visually see my child getting punched or beat up by somebody or my mother. Ain't no way to work. Ain't no way. I'm sorry. Y'all have to pray for pastor. Got to pay for him. Somebody's light get turned off. It ain't going to be mine. But think about it. People were talking all that noise, but then you start thinking and said, man, if that was my mama getting full-fledged punched by a grown man in the face. Just think about that. A woman getting wore out by a man, and you the son, and you standing right there. Man, please. Y'all will have to, Frankie, you'll have to be here and Douglas. You had that 9 o'clock service in Douglas at 12 o'clock here. You follow what I'm saying? You know why? The theory changed when you start thinking about it, and then people start thinking that, oh man, that's, you know what? If that was my mom, I probably would do the same thing. So you can't say that boy was wrong for doing what he did. Now, I'm not ordaining or I'm not an advocate for people killing people and all that stuff like that. But when you start putting your feet in somebody else's shoes, you say, you know what? I probably would have done the same thing if I was in that condition. If I was in that position. And sometimes we don't look at people, we see people in the church and we think that nobody is, the higher somebody go to, or this person's a praying woman, that's a minister. I don't think they can fall or fail into anything. You put their shoes on and you was in that same place with them, you did the same thing. You can follow. You can follow. That's why Galatians 6:1, that's one of my favorite scriptures. And I think people need to study that every day. If you got a forgiveness problem, you need to read Galatians chapter 6:1 every day. Yes. I want you to get it too. Yes.
Yes, sir. So for me, I find it easier to forgive when somebody is like sincerely apologetic, for something they've done. But is there any advice you could give when you tell someone that they have offended you or something they have done towards you or whatever, and but they continue to do the same behavior, and it's like you trying to get past it, you trying to forget about it, but they continue to do it, and they know that it bothers you. So, what could you do in that?
Well, I can only give you what the Bible says in regards to that. And he talked about forgiving 70 times 7, and that's a lot of times. A lot of times. And then if somebody keep doing the same thing over and over, then you have to challenge to see if their mind is right. Y'all with me? Give me 1 Thessalonians 5:14. All right, read. 14.
Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly.
Warn them that are unruly.
Comfort the feeble-minded.
Do what?
Comfort.
Comfort the who?
The feeble-minded.
You got people in the church that their mind just ain't there. Feeble-minded. If you continue to present a behavior and you keep being apologetic about the same thing you keep doing over and over and over and over and over again, I just believe after the 70 times 7 that you may just be feeble-minded. And so if you're feeble-minded, I have to treat you a little different. I can't treat you the same. I got to comfort you now because your mentality ain't, something ain't right upstairs. If you keep doing the same thing. Yes, and I'm coming to you. Well, I think it's a see, a person, you forgiving a person doesn't mean that they have to apologize. Sometimes we wait for an apology to forgive. You don't forgive you don't wait for an apology to forgive anybody. Amen. Y'all with me? Get the book of Luke 23 and 34. Luke 23 and 34. Everybody understand that? Nobody in here should be waiting for an apology to give forgiveness. Because people say they apologize a lot. And people say I'm sorry a lot. And they don't mean it. So you don't wait for somebody to say I apologize in order for you to forgive. Because that shows your immaturity. Because I gotta wait. I'm not speaking to you until you tell me you apologize. And then when you apologize to me, then I'm gonna forgive you. Can't operate like that. Read, 23.
Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
I'm issuing forgiveness. Now, Jesus issuing forgiveness. Ain't nobody said they're sorry yet. Only time people, you want to know when they start apologizing? Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2 and 37 is when they apologize. This is now, Jesus forgives them in the moment of while they're doing it, but then they start apologizing later. Read, 2:37.
Now when they heard this, they were pricked in their heart.
Now when they heard this, they were pricked in their heart.
And said unto Peter and to the rest of the apostles, Men and brethren, what shall we do?
So what shall we do now? We ready to apologize now. We done killed the Messiah. We want to apologize. But Jesus, he forgave them before they even thought about apologizing. Before they even thought about giving an apology, he forgave them. Yes, sir.
So what about people who have actually made a mistake or done something wrong to a person? And let's just say that person that was wrong, like, has that unforgiveness and, like, it just would not let it go. or is struggling to forget. I mean, and they are entitled to take, the time that they need to do that. But with that person who made that mistake is apologetic and is like wants to, make things right, but that person is just unwilling to. I mean, is it wrong for that person to hey, it's not going to happen, like this, it's not going to work. And then for them, but let's just say that me and Frankie are best friends.
That's wrong.
Let's just say that me and Frankie are best friends. Frank did something to me, and I had unforgiveness in my heart. And let's just say Frank, he's like, hey, I want to be your friend. I want to work things out. He's like, nah, it's not there. It's fine. I'm not saying how I feel is wrong, and I'm telling you how I feel. But let's just say, Frank is like, okay, well, I mean, when your time is there, go there. But let's just say, now Frank is trying to be friends with Diego, and I go to Diego like, nah, but watch out for him. Like, he hurt me, so he might hurt you too.
That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's dangerous, and that's bitterness. See, we want to get from. So we want to get from bitter to better, right? So if I'm telling people that to watch out for this person because you've hurt me, so I'm bitter towards you, so I'm going to try to sour every relationship because of what you've done to me. And no, it's not right. It's not right. Nobody should, because that displays unforgiveness. That displays, of course, bitterness and anguish and all those things like that. All right? Somebody else had that. Yes, sir. You got a question? Yes.
when God throws what you done in the seat of forgiveness, could someone try to refresh your mind of what you did in your past, even if you have fully forgiven you?
So you're saying if God has forgiven you and somebody else try to bring it up?
No, I said when God throws away what you've done, like in your past. So if God throws away what you've done in your past, could someone try to refresh your mind of what you did, or what you did in your past, even though you have fully forgiven?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Back to that. If people can throw stuff up at you. But, and see, this is one thing you want to realize is even when people start digging up your past, one thing about a person going down there to dig up stuff, they're going to find out that they got some stuff down there too. They're going to find out. If you go on deep sea diving, you're going to see the stuff you done did. And see, one thing I like about God is that when you start criticizing and trying to crucify people for what they've done, he'll go ahead and put a light in your mind and remind you about something that you've done. And then have somebody bring it up to you. You say, oh, I can't believe she done did that. You remember when you was out there talking to? That's nothing but a year ago when you was out there doing the same thing. Y'all ain't saying that. God he'll refresh it quick. Somebody come up to you, somebody from your past will come up to you and say, yeah, I remember when you used to be on the block and this, that, and the third. You pointed at this one, tell I can't believe she ain't married and she done had a baby. You was having sex, you just ain't getting no baby. The same, y'all not saying nothing. It's the same thing. You done sold off babies, you done did everything. You done did every type of thing not to have a child, but you had sex, but this person gets pregnant, and you look at them like, oh. They going to hell. Well, if they going to hell, they're going to be right beside you. My God, y'all ain't saying nothing. So what we do is we like to point, see, a lot of y'all got little secrets and stuff that nobody don't know about. And then other people's stuff get exposed. You start looking at them funny, but you got the same exact secrets. You down there having sex with yourself. You know, bought all type of toys to get yourself off and all that stuff like that, and you looking at somebody. My God, it got rough now. Let me step out of that because sometimes we'll point out and say, oh, I can't believe he done had a baby out of wedlock. She done had a baby. Oh, I heard about they had sex with each other. They did that. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You're not a virgin. And you still, you at night, you in that closet and all that stuff like that, playing with yourself and all that stuff. It's the same thing. Got very quiet. I'm coming to you. It got really quiet. Because we'll point the finger. And that's what we got to get out. I'm coming to you. Give me Galatians first. I'm going to come to you. Hold on one second. Give me Galatians chapter 6. I'm going to show you something. Because one thing about saints, and saints are notorious for this, is that they're very quick to talk about somebody and their downfalls and their flaws. And they don't forget that they have flaws too. Don't you think this is why the symmetrics of the human face? Nobody has a straight face. Everybody's face is crooked in some type of way. Every single person. You know why? Because God made everybody like that, so you won't be pointing at nobody saying something about them, something about that, and you got the same issue. You got an issue. Everybody in here got an issue. And I'm glad that God gave everybody issues so nobody won't look and point the finger at nobody else. See, if you focus on your issues, you wouldn't be in nobody else's business. My God, y'all ain't saying that. All right, Galatians 6:1, and I'm coming to you.
Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault.
If a man be overtaken. Now listen to how Paul says this. He says, if a man be what?
Overtaken.
Oh, you know what overtaken means? He was consumed with it. This person allowed somebody to take him over. Take control of. A certain thing took over. And this guy, anybody. Said overtaken. Can you imagine? Anybody know what that's just like if somebody is doing something, say for instance, Mike is on the drums, and I take over, all right, man, got away. So I move him out the way and I jump in his spot. Overtaken. I took you out of your position. Now you out of where you are. I'm overtaken. Somebody take something from you or overshadow you and just be aggressive to do something. When you overtake somebody, that's a strong force, a strong control. Read,
Ye which are spiritual.
Ye which are spiritual.
Restore such.
Now watch this. For those of you, and this is why people that are in the church that are not spiritual don't have any business knowing about nobody else's business. Because you ain't spiritual enough to have it. And some of y'all get somebody else's secrets, you'll be like, oh no, I don't want to say, I don't even sit back, I don't want to sit beside him. I want to hear him. Man, he can't teach me no Sunday school. She can't do no Sunday school. I know her past, I know what you did. Ye that are spiritual do what?
Restore such a one.
So those of you that are not spiritual, y'all ain't got no business trying to restore nobody. Because you don't have the ability to, because you can't handle it. Let me tell you something. The strength of being spiritual is that when somebody is overtaken in the fall, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray with you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm not talking about you. I'm not going to have, and see, some of y'all want to know the juice and all that stuff like that, but it's not for prayer. Right? You're doing it just to know what somebody did. And that's dangerous. I wonder if this person did that. I wonder if that has happened. See, a spiritual person, they don't need no intel and detail. Somebody reached out to me a while back and said, hey, Pastor, did you hear about that pastor that I said, nope, I ain't hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me nothing. Oh, I was just going to keep between. Nope, I don't hear. I don't want to know nothing about nobody's business. I got my own business to take care of. I'm pastoring the church. I got people here that got issues. I got my own issues. I ain't worried about nobody else's stuff. I don't want to know nobody else's business. And if they don't go to this church and I ain't got to pastor them, hey, y'all can keep that. Look, that's why other saints come to me about that stuff from different churches. I don't want to talk to them. Go to your own pastor. We got all these people here that got their own problem. What I look like calling down there in Statesboro West or calling Savannah, checking on the hate, did y'all figure out that shit? I call you, talk to your own pastor. I'm pastoring over here. I'm going to be able to, I got to handle what I got to handle over here. I don't have the time. I may have the patience, but I don't have the time to deal with everybody else's stuff. You follow me? Read, restore such a one.
And the spirit of meekness.
All right, who's back there on those things back there? You paying attention? No, I didn't ask you that. I said, are you paying attention? All right, I want you to look up the word meekness for me. All right. Restore such a one.
And the spirit of meekness.
All right, let's look at that word meekness. All right. The fact or condition of being meek, submissive, all right, long-suffering, forbearance, gentleness, patience, okay. All right, in a humble manner, if you will. So when I restore you, I'm not judging you. I'm not thinking in my mind, oh, I can't believe you did this. And see, when you get spiritual enough, you don't think like that. You don't be like, I can't believe Frank did that. How in the world he doing that? He had never said, I can't believe he did that. I ain't never been thinking like that. If I'm spiritual. When I'm spiritual, I say, boy, that could have been me. Let me go and pray for him. That's a spiritual person. I'm going to try to pray for you because I know that that could be me and that can be me and that would have been me if I wouldn't have been in the right place of where I'm supposed to be. All right, go back to the scripture. All right, read it.
Brother, if a man be overtaken in a fault, you with your spiritual restore such an one, and the spirit of meekness, considering thyself.
Considering who?
Thyself.
But who's the thyself? It ain't everybody. But who is it? Who are you talking about? No. Who is he talking about? Read the scripture again.
Brethren,
if
a man be overtaken in a fault, ye with your spiritual.
Ye with your who?
Spiritual.
Do what?
Restore such a one, in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself.
Who's the thyself?
The spiritual.
The spiritual people. Saying that you telling me that spiritual people got to consider themselves? My God. So spiritual people got to consider themselves that they may fall too. Woo. See where your mind went? See where your thoughts went just that fast? Well, I don't know. If somebody's spiritual, you done fell, man. I don't know if I'll be able to handle it. You know why? You're not spiritual enough and you're not mature enough. Yes.
What do you call people like that? I know it's hidden sin, but they do a lot of dirty things because nobody knows it. They point the finger at everybody else. They always, pray to just destroy somebody's character, sow seeds of discord against somebody. They doing all kind of dirty stuff themselves because nobody knows it.
Right. To be honest, people that are like that, I believe that they have some type of possession. Because if I'm doing the same thing that you're doing, but I'm going to magnify what you're doing and talk down about what you're doing because your stuff is being seen and my stuff is hidden, there has to be some type of, if it's not a mental deficiency, which I don't think it is, it's spiritual. It got to be some type of possession. Because now, it kind of falls in the lines of reprobate. Remember, reprobate deals with a person thinking that they're doing right and they're doing wrong. So if I'm doing the same thing that you're doing, but I'm magnifying what you're doing because mine can't be seen, something wrong either mentally or there's a demonic possession that got me operating in that way. And you do have a lot of people that operate that way, and a lot of people do that. Pay attention to people that talk about other people. People that talk about other people, they're not doing anything but taking the light off themselves. Because if I'm always talking about you, there's obviously something that I'm doing. I gotta be doing something because I don't want the light on me. Amen. Y'all follow me? All right. Considering thyself.
Lest thou also be tempted.
So a spiritual person can be tempted. Can a spiritual person be tempted? Of course. Jesus was God in the flesh and he was tempted. Y'all with me? Yes, ma'am. You have a question? Yeah, I like it.
I was just going to say that this is a spiritual fight, like we got demonic spirits, that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So it's like when the devil, I don't look at people, when situations happen, I don't put faces on it. I don't look at people because
Right.
it's
A lot of times it's spirits. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like if these are demons, these people are being possessed by demons, that means that we don't have one enemy. Because the enemy, once a person is delivered and free, they're no longer the same person, so I can't look at you the same because
Right.
you're not the same.
Yeah, you got to look at, and that's where a spiritual person, give me Matthew 18 and 22. That's where a spiritual person comes in. Spiritual person comes in the picture because they can identify spirits as well. So if I know, and a lot of times people are dealing with spirits, sometimes a lot of times we deal with a person, not the spirit that's in the person. Remember Jesus, when Peter was cutting up, he didn't deal with Peter, he dealt with the spirit that was influencing Peter. Everybody understand that? All right, 18:22, 18 and 22. 22.
Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.
All right, what is he talking about? Go over a couple verses.
For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him?
All right, so he's asking a question about how many times do I need to forgive somebody that has sinned against me? Now, how many people in here that have sinned more than 49 times in your life? How many was 77 times? That's 449? Huh? 490. 490? How many people have sinned more than 490 times in their lifetime? Oh, come on now. I ain't talking about when you got saved. I'm talking about before you were saved. You probably got about 70 when you got saved, but we're talking about before you got saved. I know I done sinned more than 500 times before I got saved. Huh? Yeah. You talking about we got 365 days in a year. You telling me for your 4 years in college, 365 days times 4, you telling me you ain't sinned 5 before 5? No, absolutely. Absolutely. So when we look at forgiving somebody, we want to look at it from the aspect of, okay, how many times have I sinned against God and He's forgiven me? How many times did I go against the will of God? We're not even dealing with, listen to the context of the scripture. He's not talking about how often should a sinner. Oh my God. It done got delicate now. It's different now. Read that again,
Then Peter came to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me?
How often shall my brother sin against me? So we're talking about brother, your brother. People sit beside you in here. How often can they sin against you? Then what Jesus say,
Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7.
So 70 times 7, 490 times. That's a lot of forgiving. Some of y'all struggling with one. My God, y'all ain't saying. Some folks struggling with forgiving somebody one time. And I've always said this, and this is the bad thing about society and the bad thing about people. And I'm so glad that I'm not on this side. But out of 100, all right? So we got 100 over there. We got somebody who do 99 good things. And they do one wrong thing. Everybody cross out the whole 99. Why is it? Why is it? Why is it that I can do so much for you for years at a time, but if I mess up on you one time, you'll forget all the good things that I've ever done. All the money that I gave you, all the help that I ever gave you, all the late night calls that I've been there for you. But if I mess up one time, you kick me to the curb for the one, but I've been there 99 times. How many of y'all ever took Tesla for it? All right? If you got one wrong on your quiz, is that still a passing grade? In fact, is it an A or is it an A plus? It's an A plus. It's just as equivalent as, not in numerical, but as a letter grade, as a 100. A 100 is an A plus. 95, not A plus. 96, 7, 98, 99. All of those, 95 to 100, are all A pluses. So just think about it. So somebody has done. Let's just say 5 things. Well, we can't get to 5 because y'all are struggling. We'll start with 1. Somebody do one thing. Why is it so hard for you to forgive that person? Why is it so difficult for you to say, you know what? I do forgive you. And I'm not even going to just say it, but I'm going to display it. Y'all with me? I want to dialogue just quickly before we go. Why is it so hard to forgive? Yes. Sometimes hurt be hurt. That's good. Right. Right. No. Right. Well, so, right. You need to place people. You need to place people in the people's category. Because people, no matter how high a person is on the ladder, or no matter how low a person is on the ladder, everybody on that ladder is able to fall because it's on the ladder. But guess what? And this is the thing. See, if you put me at the top of the ladder and I fall, the hurt is greater. But if you just put us all on the ladder because we're all on the ladder, then it's like, okay. But when you have this expectation of somebody not having the ability to fall, that's when you get in trouble. Yes, sir. Yeah, you're right. That is. We're not saying that. The reason I asked the question, as far as, so what I'm saying is that when you put people on the ladder, it doesn't matter how high they are. What I'm saying is the people's thought process or perception is different by how high they're placed on the ladder. No, that's not. I didn't say that. Oh. Well, because that deals with respect. So you could have somebody in your life that you highly respect, you'll put them on top of the ladder. But you still have to remember that that person is on top of the ladder, but he's still capable of failing. Yeah, no, nobody said that. Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Very good point. Yes. Can y'all get are we live on the thing anywhere? We still on live? Okay. I was over there. All right.
I don't think that when people do stuff to people, it's not always intentional.
Right.
Sometimes that's just what they do.
Yeah, I don't think that. And let me tell you something about people. A lot of times, people are not. So I'm not going to. A lot of people falls or failures is not intentional. Sometimes we think that the failures of people is like, oh yeah, I'm going to wake up this morning and I'm going to fail. People don't wake up saying, yeah, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do the worst job that I can at work today. And people don't wake up saying that they just want to be failures. So that's where you, yes.
People have trouble forgiving themselves, so it's hard to be empathetic in the sense that someone can fall because you're not empathetic with yourself, that, how you can fall. And then also, I think it's that we sometimes can lack getting to know an individual, so when they do something to hurt us, instead of being able to reference, okay, this person is this, and that person, they do this, and they have a good heart, and have a good character, now it's like, oh no, all I can see is what you've done because I've never gotten to know you. So I see it as a situation and not who you are. So it's really hard to forgive someone if you've never gotten to know them.
That's a very good solid point. That's a good point because a lot of times when you don't have all of the pros and then you get the one con, you ain't got nothing to reference. And you can't really. But even it don't. I'll be honest. Sometimes that don't even matter because you can have 1,000 pros and then that person that one con, you know who I am. But because even if you know me, you'll still say, hey, you ain't had a business doing that. Why did you do that? You failed me. And then so that thought of mine will carry you throughout your life. Oh man, he failed me. He failed me. All right. Somebody else had their hand up? Yes.
Stuff like that. And I guess in the sense of what Patrice said, I think a lot of times we kind of set expectations of people of where we wouldn't expect them to do certain things when they never showed us that they weren't capable of falling or messing up with us. So because we had such a high expectation of them because of where we saw them to be, that never meant that they showed that they were there to be able to give that to us. So we set ourselves up for it.
Yeah, you're responsible for where you place people in that light, but you're also responsible for having a thought in mind of if that person do fail, I'll forgive them because of whatever the case may be, because he's still a person, she's still a person. Right? Anybody else? Anybody else? No, yes.
So in that point that you just said, is it maturity to mess up or not mess up, or is it maturity to know where to put people in life? Is it a combination of both?
When you say mess up or not to mess up, I don't think maturity keeps you from. Maturity don't cause you to mess up or not mess up.
That's my point. Was I'm not less of a person because I messed up.
No.
But then something's like, is it just a learning experience as you grow older? You know where to put people in life, and you know how to gauge them easily. I guess the expectations of people. Is that a maturity thing to know what expectations you should have out of somebody, and not only to have expectations, but to have expectations of this person may fail and this person does fail. Having to be the maturity to forgive.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. Anybody else want to? Yes, sir. The question is why is it so hard to forgive?
I think sometimes people have attitude problems. Sometimes somebody might do something to me, and I might feel like something hot in my chest.
You might be the doctors or something.
But I think because I made people mad before me.
Yeah. Well, you sound like you need me to pray for you, boy. You start getting hot in your chest when people say stuff to you. All right. Anybody else? Yes.
I think sometimes you can love somebody so much, like a family member. Like for example, I wasn't raised in a family. Me or my siblings on my dad's side wasn't raised with our dad. And so my brother, he gets upset and he gets mad at our dad because he wasn't there. So it's like that unforgiveness is in his heart because he wasn't there, but because he really wanted him there is what made him so angry.
Right. Yeah.
You know, the love, you really do love him,
right.
but it's like trying to figure out why, you know.
Right. And so, yeah, and that normally happens when a person is upset or angry at what happened, and because that emptiness that's there, you know, so that void is there because my father wasn't there. I can be upset at the situation that he wasn't there, not necessarily mad at the person. So, yes.
Say, you think it could be from, I guess, how you were raised too. Something I realized, like with Dana, that she always said when she had sisters, they would fight and then they just like get back to it. So if that's something that wasn't, I guess, instilled in the home to like, you know, hey, y'all get over it type of thing, you know, get back to it. Like, but if your family is like, oh, I'm about to cut them off, like, you know what I'm saying, but your family, so that kind of is instilling you to do the same and to not forget. It's like, I'm used to dismissing you, but if you're raised for it somewhere, it's like, I have to forgive you, you kind of put that in relationship too.
Yeah, that can be placed in perspective because if a person is raised a certain type of way and they're not used to having arguments or fights. You got some people that are the only child, and being the only child, who are you gonna fight with yourself? So you look in the mirror, but you don't fight yourself as an only child. So when you come into and in most cases there, people that are only children or if they're the only child, sometimes they have a lot of friends or they get friends to be their relatives or their brothers and stuff like that. And I don't care what kind of family you are, family gonna have fights. I'm not saying physical, but there's gonna be a lot of arguments, some may be physical, all that stuff like that. At the end of the day, that reunification, it happens. It happens. Yes, sir.
I feel like just even in my personal family, like, not even personal, just extended even in, like, sometimes, like, not even sometimes, but, like, cutting family off, like, just not talking to others, not talking to others, like, it's me to hurt them, I'm not talking to cousin, like, to hear someone and have, like, I ain't talking to my brother, like, 5 years, we just beat him. That's like, wow, like, that's unheard of, like, for me personally, like, that's just not something that would happen.
Right.
Even though that's not saying that nobody can bear it, it's just how I was raised. So, I feel like I was raised, I just feel like everyone's personal trust level and your own personal ability to, I won't say forgive and forget, because I feel like it's different, but then ability to, like, hey, I messed up, but, I feel like some people are more dismissive, like, hey, this messed up, well, forget it. Like, I just give up. Like, it is what it is. I feel like some people have that attitude just growing up so much that it's like, it goes on to everything they do in life. Whether it could be school, it could be work. It could just be like, well, I don't care. Like, and it can also be in relationships where it's like, well, you messed up, well, it ain't a big deal. I'm just dismissive about it.
Right. Yeah, and that is a behavior that's developed based upon the environment that a person grew up in. Right? All right. Any other questions, yes, sir?
Well, it's not a question. It's also dealing with why children have that unforgiveness within them. I think it's mainly due to because of pride. Having pride that someone hasn't hurt them, over a period of time, and it grows and festers, it continues allowing that, and they shouldn't do that to me. Like, I'm my own person, like, this is not right, it can be a sense of pride, and not wanting to forgive somebody, maybe because of, a person thinks highly of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes when a person gets too high up and think that they can't forgive, and because nobody can do this to me, nobody's supposed to hurt me like this, blah 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 blah. You're gonna find yourself in the same situation, hurt somebody. Amen. All right, so we got. I didn't even get to all the other scriptures that I had here, but we got to be more givers than takers. We always try to take that forgiveness, but we fail that issue in a giving. All right. Any other questions tonight? Yes, ma'am.
someone that has hurt you, when the emotions or the hurt comes up after someone has hurt you, what is like the factor or whatever that proves that you are forgetting and that you're not? Like, what exactly is going to show you that you're doing that? So like if you're used to suppressing stuff,
right?
And when the emotions come up, I'm trying to forget, but how do I know? I still don't understand if I'm suppressing it or forgetting.
Okay, I got you. Okay. So the scenario, and that gives you that Genesis 41 and 51. The scenario of helping to forget, it deals with your spirituality and your growth in God. So this is where, if you're having a hard time with suppressing or forgetting, this is where you get down and pray, Lord, I need you to help me to forget this. I want to get past this. But it also deals with what you really want. Because sometimes our behavior is to hold on. And sometimes our behavior is to suppress. But when I say, Lord, I want this off of me. Lord, help me to get rid of this. This is baggage. This is keeping me. This is weight. You follow what I'm saying? So sometimes we got to go back that way. All right? All right? All right, we can stand and give the Lord a hand praise tonight.